How y'all doing? Been a busy day, friends, clients, things going on. Hmm. But I wanted to do like a little, give a little, share a little gift today in terms of um, psychology. This one is a little more psychological now tonight that I'm talking about. um, a lot of people think being spiritual has to do with not being psychological. They think psychology is different and spirituality is different. To be spiritual, you're either meditating or you're a psychologist. And to me, it's like, no, they are one integral unit. There's no true psychology without the spirituality, and there's no true spirituality without the psychology. What do I mean? First, let me define what psychology is, the way I use it, so that we can know in case you have a different idea. Psychology to me is a study of the psyche, logos, logic, right? Psyche, mind, study of the mind, psychology. Makes sense? And then you have spirituality, whereby it's the exploration of the other side, the spiritual world. Now, what a lot of people, even on the spiritual path, don't often realize is that even after you come home into your own heart, even after you dissolve, you integrate into the oneness, whatever spiritual state one is, and you still happen to be in the body, how do you express it? How do you share it in the world? Because spiritual growth is only half of 3/4 of the journey. It's a quarter of expression. And this part needs to be really, really talked about. Otherwise, people think, oh, it's all about just meditating, and then one day you're going to live in paradise, walk around on water like Jesus. No. I actually say, and I say it with authority, I cannot imagine Christ performing those miracles. Turning water to wine? Are you kidding me? That would be so wasteful. What a waste of energy. Okay, people don't understand the difference between some people between spirituality and a miracle worker. I'm not against either, but they're different. Let's call it spade once and for all. Okay? The difference between a magician and a mystic is big and also not big. And let me begin with the mystic. Okay? A true mystic is he or she who's interested in exploring the other side, the spiritual realms. Why? Because that's how where we find our true nature. Magic, on the other hand, again, I'm not against it, okay? Let it be known, I'm for everything. Magic is more of a mental thing. It is a mental case, not like in a bad way. You use it, see, people don't understand. The mind has faculties. We talk about psychics, people that look powerful. Oftentimes they're using their mental body. They're using their mental body. What do I mean? You see, think of an eye with a dot on top. You see, most people use their vital side only. They don't use their mental body. The mental body is where the genius ideas, the philosophical, scientific ideas come from. It is the most advanced part of the brain, and it's one of them, the mystical part. Okay, and that's where the mind has power. So you can learn in secret society. They can give you mantras. Most mantras work on the mind. Let's just be honest. That's why mantras, those who don't know, are magic words. They call it awful in some cultures, or magic word. You say it into existence, it's a power. The prayer is mind. It's mind stuff. Nothing wrong with it. They just call it spade a spade. It's magic. You can manifest things. Boom, make it happen. But it's dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Let's go there. Let's discuss it. It's dangerous oftentimes because the ego, the psyche, the ego, is almost impossible not to get egotistical. And everybody else is walking on land, you start walking on the air. How are you not going to be egotistical? You're going to be looking at everybody saying, look at this guy walking on the ground. I'm flying. But let them not impress you, please. Don't be impressed. Just say this is a magician. Nothing wrong in magician. Being psychic, all these philosophical ideas, all mind faculties, nothing wrong. Unless one begins to get carried away. That's why there's a school of thought called Scientology. They call it religion. And I've studied it. And what I discovered was that they have suddenly somehow come across the tricks, techniques to activate the mind's power. And it's dangerous because the ego will get guaranteed, of course. So that's why I tell people, don't worry about magic. You could do it if somehow you trust yourself that you'll not get carried away. If someone can manage that, it's fine. What I've done, what I teach, what I share with my friends is go meditate, because meditation works differently. You're not trying to get any power. In fact, oftentimes the more one grows, become more ordinary. See, people think being ordinary is inferior. I'll tell you, the ordinary man or woman is more advanced. Why? Why is the ordinary man just simple? You eat when you're hungry, you sleep when you sleep. It's natural rhythm. Because most of us, that's where we got lost. Any fool can do some mantras and do some difficult exercises and magnify their own mind, and they think they're enlightened. No, not so simple. Again, I'm not against it. Okay, it's fine if you want to explore that. Magic is for children, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. I speak the truth. Magic generally, for the first 21 years of one's life, and even 30 if one is a little slow. At the point, universe says, okay, time to get deeper into spirituality. And what is spirituality? It is out of allowed through presence, through deep meditation. You don't have to go to the Himalayas or the cave. You can right in your house. Be a businessman. Don't leave your house. Whatever it is, householder. This is your meditation. Somehow find moments during the day when you can just take a deep breath. What that does, what it does is it literally begins to activate your Kundalini. There are many techniques, many techniques. Whatever activates the energy of the spiritual body, because it moves like that. Whatever activates it, that is the spiritual journey. And the spirit, only the spirit has enough energy to keep an eye on the psyche. See the difference? Whereas those who are not awakening the Kundalini, right, spiritual force, awakening it, because the spiritual energy works, lowest is the sexual energy, or what I call the survival. If one is only in the base chakra, the center, in the spiritual body, not the physical body, the spiritual body. If you are just in the tail area, I call it the tail area because the spiritual body looks like it has like a little energetic thing that looks like a tail for those who haven't fully processed the root chakra. Because it's about war and control and trying to make sure you survive. Okay? Then one has the swadhisthana, where is the level of passion. One begins to like say, what do I want to do with my life? Life becomes more juicy. That's the next. The solar plexus is where power happens. Suddenly you feel powerful. The word power is taking this negative connotation. People are like, oh, power, because they've been watching the psychics. You see, people who work on their own mind. It gets scary. You're like, that person was working their mind, and now they're crazy. Now they've lost their damn mind, or they've done something really insane. People are afraid to be like that. Have no worries, my friend. If you are concerned, you can message me, DM me. Adams-Oyenuga can guide you. You can do it yourself. But sometimes it's good to have a guide, me or anybody who's taking the journey to its complete end, at least to a deeper level than whoever it is that's interested. Because it takes a guide, somebody who's been on the journey, and can say, oh, come, let me show you. It's not about power tripping. It's not about saying I know it all. It's about saying, let's see, a guide, okay? Not a guru. Let's see, a simple man or woman who says, hold my hand. I've been there before. Let me show you. It's so beautiful. Science, the inner science, okay? So then the heart center opens. This begins to turn one when the love of the heart center, heart chakra opens up. You're in love. For the first time, life is juicy. You look at anything, you're like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And initially, people can become easily promiscuous at that level. I'm not saying better or worse, but you're like, love. Oh. At the point one begins to realize, oh, it's not coming from them. It's coming from, just let it flow. Let it throw with creativity, right? And then beyond is the soul realm, whereby one falls into the inner being, beyond the spirit, whole different conversation. That's what I call the soul awakening. A lot of people think awakening completes with the chakras open. Not true. Chakras are the ladders. You climb it. Once you get to the top of it, then you have to make that jump into the soul. It takes total trust. Relax into existence. Say, existence, I trust you. And you jump into the blackness, into the infinity, into the abyss. Oh. It's so relaxing, so beautiful. Because once that happens, that becomes your constant state every moment of your life. It's not even about whether you're no longer emotional. You can still feel sad, you can feel angry, but all those seem like they're happening around you. Let's not talk about that yet, because this is more about the difference between magic and or psychic ability and spirituality or mystical realization. There's magic, nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's very important. Without magic, it's like a growth level. You learn through magic. In between magic and true spirituality, it's what I call religion. Religion is the gap. See, when you look at those primitive societies where they're just dancing naked, doing their thing, they're beautiful, and some of them are even awake spiritually. But they're simple. They're like almost like animals. I love it. I'm not making fun of them, but they're simple. They might poop, they might make love over there. They're just like animals. They don't. No, but that's not the universe's desire for us. The next, see, the magical man or woman is in their body. Body functions. They're in their body. They're enjoying their body. Life is good, right? After that is the mind, and this is what I've noticed has happened to a lot of Africans. Some Africans, even Americans, I've seen it in clients and students. They're in the mental level, the mind level. The mind level is when people say they want to repress the physical layer. They start becoming fundamentalists, maybe even a born again Christian. I love the idea of being born again, but one has to be careful not to repress the body. Otherwise, it will come back to bite one in the ass. When it bites, it leaves horrible wounds. So I say, be a complete man or woman. Be spiritual. Develop your intelligence, because you're going to need it to communicate. And then your body, take care of it. All three, they don't hate each other. They don't have to be antagonistic. They're meant to work together. Okay, so let's make the difference. The magic is beautiful. You can do stuff, dance in nature. You might look at a stone and speak to it. It's beautiful. It's like a very childlike stage. Then the mind develops, and the mind, like I said, has some powers too. One can become psychic. You might be able to like do some limited pseudo spiritual stuff like astral projection. You may do a little bit of it with the mind. The mind can actually do what is called there's a name for it in the military, where somebody will go to like a location and see what's happening and then come back. Time travel, shit like that. It's mind stuff. Mind stuff. Don't let anybody bombard you and say, I can time travel. Stay relaxed. Good for you. You can even ask them to show you, but don't look up to them. Time travel is a mental thing. Mental. You go back in the future. That's mental thing. I'm not against anything. I'm just explaining. Part of my mission this very lifetime is to explain so that people can know what they're doing, where they're at, and what's next, or not to bother. But at least it's a map of consciousness. That's why I sacrificed my PhD, because I was going to do it for my doctorate. They told me it's not doable. You know what? And I said, you know what? I'm going to do my best. So the book is going to come out, and it's a worthy sacrifice. Like, otherwise, if I had gone with their plan in the PhD, I would have written a book that nobody wants to read but them. And I don't write my book for any intellectual. I refuse to. Okay, to me, intellectuals have become very useless. In the ivory tower, showing off. Oh, we are the special people. I don't give a damn. I want to speak to the common man. The common man, they're the one that creates the wealth. And yet the people that are so-called intellectuals hiding in their ivory tower, not knowing anything because they have never come down from the ivory tower. And to me, it's about that science. A true scientist is thinking, but also down to earth. You got to study life. You got to be on the ground. You got to talk to the farmers. You want to get pure intelligence? Speak to the farmer. They are alive. They plant. They're touching nature. They're thinking. But the professional intellectual, they tell me A, I start thinking B, because most times from experience, it has been my experience. They don't know what they're talking about. Oftentimes, they're talking from the past. Einstein said this. I'm like, okay, what have you come up with? Nothing. Not to diss or make fun of anybody, but what is the point? Huh? Okay, this is where expose this thing. So the magic layer is the more primitive layer. We all have it. Children are magical. Every child. They go into nature. They talk to these weird, strange beings. Oh, guess what? I'm seeing some of it is just imagination. Some is real, because they're still spiritually awake. Their eyes open. But some of it is just magical. It's beautiful. Wow, like a child. Everything is alive to them. Wow, it's beautiful. Nothing wrong. In fact, I'll be honest. Awakening is going through the magical state, spiritual awakening. Going through the magical state, going to the mental state, with the spiritual, and then finding a way to connect all of it. You see, that is what I call a fully embodied spiritual awakening. Because now you are not just on the other side, but you're here too on earth. It's like being multidimensional. It's a beautiful thing to experience. And once it happens, it never leaves. Every moment, You're aware of your other, but you're also here. For the first time, one feels so alive. This is like, wow, right? And this is not anything special. This is our destiny. Unfortunately, we've not been told. We've been lied to that by those who want to control humanity's resources. It's time for them to get exposed once and for all. We all got to do it. Otherwise, they're cheating, telling us that they're the ones that know more when they don't know anything. Because to know is from experience. That's why I personally trust farmers, mystics, people who are more on the simple, so-called simple. They are more honest and wise. Some of the most beautiful conversations I've ever had in my life. The person that nobody wants to talk to, I'm always looking there for them. And this guy over there, nobody's talking to. Let me see. And sometimes I just sit there. Or a woman, I'm like, wow. I just learned the mysteries of life from this so-called bomb. Because unfortunately, many of them don't have the intellect to be able to survive in the Western world. Some are beautiful mystics, but mystic is somebody that's right-brained, right? You're just in the moment. Logic to live in the world is difficult for them. Luckily, I have both, and hopefully a lot of us have both, so that you can be mystical, spiritual, and use your mind, intellect, and you can still be practical and live with the world. I love those men and women. So let's get back to point now, okay? It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the universal unfolding for all of us, okay? So let me say it again. The spirit, nothing wrong in magic. Magic that's beautiful. You know, play with witchcraft, you know, people are like honoring a tree, they worshiping a tree, all those kind of stuff. It's nice, it's a beautiful magical stage. Why not? Go for it. But just know there's gonna come it always comes to every magical. Whether in the one lifetime or the following lifetime. I've seen it to so many people where I was doing past life regression. You see it. Wow, that was a primitive person. Now they're human in their mind, lost in their mind. Because it's the next phase. It is the next phase. That means the universe is not satisfied that you're very simple mind. You can be present. That's easy. Now you have a mind, your intelligence, your logic, your philosopher, the businessman, the king, all those personality types that I share in my sessions and workshops. Once this corona nonsense goes away, I'll travel more. So I want to share this with as many people as possible in Africa, in Asia, different places as much, because this is what people, if people can know their own type of psychology, half of the mystery of their life is explained, because each archetype, the way I share it, has this plus and negative. It's like a coin. The coin has two sides. You can't have one-sided coin, it has double sides. So when you have an archetype, you're going to have the negative and the positive. Part of spiritual growth is to learn to accept it deeply, because in that acceptance is what transforms everything. Acceptance is not what people think. It's not resignation. Resignation is mental. Oh, I guess no. No, acceptance means whatever is happening right now, you trust the universe is in charge of it. You take responsibility for it. I say, somehow I'm creating this moment. Only when one is taking responsibility for the moment one doesn't like can one make a different choice. Huh? Makes sense? If one is not responsible, say, oh, this one, I didn't create the situation because you don't like it. And now you want to be responsible for what's great. No, it doesn't work. It takes the same energy. Same energy. The same energy. We just don't know it consciously, but somewhere, whatever is happening in our life, as a mystic, I don't believe me, but you probably know sooner than later. Somewhere in your soul, somewhere, otherwise nothing can happen. Okay, so the mental state happens, and that's where many humans get lost for lifetimes. Why? The mind is seductive. The mind is seductive. I'll make more videos on that, not now, but the seductiveness of the mind. Some videos on that, because the mind has seduced us all. We think the mind will do it, and remember, I'm not against mind. Like I said, it has its powers of intellect, manifestation, psychic, all those are beautiful, but if one gets carried away with it, so that's why that path is good. I think everybody should be taught how to use their mind, well, immediately or simultaneously. One should be taught how to also awaken spiritually, because as the mind is growing and the spirit is also growing, hopefully faster, then the inner master can monitor the mind. Unfortunately, part of what I've noticed, the tragedy, the issue of modern man and woman is the mind is super developed in some people, not in every man, but their spiritual growth is lower. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. It's like giving the mind will create nuclear weapons. Part of its power is to create weaponry, super weaponry. Can you imagine that? Powerful. But he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He thinks he can monitor, he can control it. No, you don't know. The nuclear weapon could finish the whole thing. So that's why I say man has been lied to. Otherwise, naturally, man is not, and woman, humanity, men and women, we're not meant to have spiritual advances that we're not spiritually capable to watch. You see, it's like mind and spirit. But the mind is so, and this is some people, the people who make the weapons, the Einsteins, all those guys, they rule the world, right? The big businessmen, all those geniuses, but their spiritual growth is not equal. So they use that power, mind power, to cause evil, because it's the ego. The ego. And I'm not against the ego. Anybody who knows me, friends, students, you know it. I'm always saying embrace your ego. But I say embrace your ego, not let it dominate you. There's a difference. To embrace the ego, only the inner being can embrace the ego, because you know you're bigger than it. So when you know it's like a child that wants to be on the boss's chair. You're not going to be like, I'll kill you. You just go, okay, sit on the chair, because you know it's a joke. The child cannot handle it. Child cannot handle it. Out of love, you're like, okay, sit on it. For a while, the child will be like, okay, daddy, that's good enough, and he will get down, or she will get down. That's how you master the ego. You don't fight it. Anybody who fights the ego will forever fight it. You can't beat it. The ego is powerful. But to just say, ego, I see you, I see what you want power, you want all of it. Okay, sit there. Sit on the throne. You speaking as the being. The ego will start going, okay, this must be the one I've been waiting for. But the truth is, the ego, from the beginning of time, the universe has put a mark on it and said, this is the sign that there's, because the ego gets tired all day working. And the universe has put a little sign, like a little signature, like a reminder on the ego. Say, when this arises, this is the inner master. Obey. And what is the sign? What is the sign? As a mystic, from my experience and some other teachers, right? My experience is he or she who is willing to allow the ego. So most of us fight our ego. We want to suppress it. No, it never works. If you try to suppress your ego, it will get bigger, but you won't know, because you'll be like, I'm the nobody has ever suffered like me. You will have what I call negative ego. Ego is ego. People think, oh, that's not ego. Oh, no, I'm just no. This negative ego. Ego is ego. It has to be mastered. It has to be mastered, not destroyed. Otherwise, if you destroy your ego, you're in trouble. You can't live one moment. Who do you think is making the blood go through all that stuff? Is the ego. It's the unconscious mind, the ego. So if you don't kill your ego in the name of spirituality, no. Unfortunately, too many people have that idea in their mind. They think to be awake is to torture their own ego, fight their ego. They will never awake, because the ego will keep creating obstacles. The mind will deceive you. Deceitful. When Christ went to the jungle, remember the story of the Christ? And they said the devil came to him. I'm not sure if there's a devil. I don't think about things like that. Devil, whatever. I don't. To me, that's not my concern. What I'm concerned is the truth behind everything. And the truth, as I see it, is the devil must have been his mind. Remember, he was fasting. Christ was fasting. I can say that as a mystic. So he's fasting. So when you're fasting, people don't realize how fasting works. You're not feeding your body too much. So all the energy begins to go to your mind. You start hallucinating if you're not careful. You start seeing ghosts. You start seeing spirits. Or, if done very effectively, under the careful gaze eye of a true master, a being who has walked the journey, then one can fast. And then it can allow one to grow spiritually too. But most people, when the mind gets more energy. So you probably visualize, oh, the mind said, all these powers, you can rule the world. That's the ego. That's why sometimes people don't understand the true mystics, because they've seen the egoists, they've seen the ones that are powerful, and they say, how come you're not doing this, showing, manifesting stuff. But the truth is, that is a journey. As one deepens into presence, you begin to realize those powers are not meant to be used. Let me say that again. Those powers are not meant to be used. They are meant to be surrendered to the universe. But it takes trust. It takes love to do this. Because when you throw all those things to the air, the universe, that will may be done. The universe will then, they'll hang around you. Those powers, they'll still work, but now they're in the hands of existence. So there are moments you would behave like no power, nothing. Somebody slap you, you start crying, or you have no money, whatever. You're like, this kind of mystic, no money, yeah, what's going on? They don't understand how things work. But I'm here to explain a lot of these things. Everything has a timing. 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 When somebody really surrenders to the being, and you're not lazy, you're doing what you got to do, you work, do your part, even if it's minimal, somehow your destiny will fulfill. Because surrender, the universe is like the ocean flowing. And what we call free will, I always laugh. People say they have free will. I'm like laughing. I'm like, that's a mistake. I'm like, you don't have any. Not to, in their faces, inside me. I'm like, that's not really free will. Free will means, are you going to go with the ocean, or are you going to keep fighting it? Well, intelligence, as one becomes intelligent along the journey, the intelligence grows. Then you're like, oh, you know what, the ocean is flowing, let me just flow with it. Then it doesn't mean you don't work anymore. You're still going to work. Hello, we're human, we're going to work. But somehow things are flowing. And that's what I call awakening. Spiritual awakening is not as complex as people think. It is learning the art of the flow. People think it's about showing powers. No, that is the first stage. When people are doing miracles, that's why I can say as a mystic, I cannot picture Christ doing all those miracles. That's the first level. You know, when you have powers, start using them, yeah, see what I can do. At the point you realize, okay, these are not my power. Because no power belongs to anybody. Not to me, not to you, not to any of us. They are all the divine manifestation. And as one begins to grow, because when you have power, you're going to misuse it sometimes. It's natural. And then one will regret and have pain and repent. The truth is, one can just say, universe, thank you for all these energies that are awakening within my being. That will be done. And then guess what? Universe says, aha, now you're intelligent. And then one can live a very simple life of surrender, of trust, knowing everything happens according to the universal timing and experience. So differentiate the different levels, the magical, the mental, the spiritual, and beyond. Okay? But don't disparage, don't repress any of it. They are all worthy of our love and attention. I could say so much more about this. I'll make more videos. But in the meantime, this is good enough for today, I feel. And 7:28 minutes, that's good. This is the beginning. I'm going to say more as more and more people show interest on this topic. So much to share. Thank you all. Okay? Don't forget to message me on Facebook. Adams-Oyenuga, Adams-Oyenuga. Huh? Or you can text me 510-240-2322. Don't call, text. I miss phone calls sometimes. If you text me, I'll say sooner than later. Okay? So may your life be a shining beauty. Because that's why we are all here. I'm not a saint. I don't have any interest in a saint. To me, all saints are full of it. They're lying. Nobody's a saint. We are all human. And that's the beauty. To be perfectly imperfect. To be imperfectly perfect. And say, this is how I am. Wow. The universe will say, thank you. Because our gift to the universe is honesty. To tell the universe, this is what I've become. I lie sometimes. I'm nervous sometimes. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever your situation might be. And yet, you love it. That energy just flows into such a being and liberates one. It's now one is truly honest from the eyes of existence. People think by not lying, sometimes that's not enough. The true honesty is to tell the universe right now how you feel. That's what I call deep spiritual prayer. See the difference? As opposed to the mental prayer, which are meant to activate the mind, right? The powers of the mind. Beware of those. But go for it if that's what you feel. Sooner than later, you go beyond it. So either way, it's all good. I love you. If I was to choose, if I was to say, I would say, try the spiritual path. And it's so simple. Check the videos out. Many videos on YouTube. Find any teacher out there. It's about breathing, relaxing. Suddenly your being begins to expand. And you begin to expand beyond the boundaries. That sooner than later, you won't know where you begin, where you end anymore. That's freedom. That's freedom. That's freedom. And it doesn't make anybody special. Because we are all that. All of us equal. And that's the beauty of existence. Thank you. Blessings. Bye. See ya.